Movies like Interstellar, Saving Private Ryan, Dunkirk and Dune all have one thing in common, and they all use sound design. Because sound design is such an important thing that it can enhance the storytelling of a movie. For example, in Interstellar, it is this clock ticking when they land on planet Miller, and you hear the clock ticking that represents 1 year passing by on Earth. Then in Saving Private, you can hear the audio cut of which resembles his hearing loss in the war sequence. In Dunkirk, you hear this shepherd tone, this rising tone that permanently is in the background of your ear. And then in Dune, there's this contrast sound design with quieter sound effects elements and louder sound effects elements, which creates a tension between those sequences. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly in 3 steps how you can do it yourself. And we're gonna do that by actually editing a video itself. Let's watch it. Yes, this was the complete edit, and it is actually a trailer for our sound effects membership, which we are going to publish soon. But yeah, as you can tell, we included a lot of sound effects. We actually had 18 layers of sound, and I also colored them for each segment, because then it's easier to understand and explain why I chose specific sound effects. Now, the first layer, as you can tell and probably heard, is this constant clock ticking. And this is actually from our pendulum clock ticking sound effects pack. And it was the base layer of the edit itself, because I edited the video to the beat of the clock tick. And you can see that with every clock tick there's a new visual, which is this really rhythmic, gives this really rhythmic vibe. And you can see that when there's visuals, I layered multiple clock ticking sounds to enhance it and make the contrast even more obvious. And also here in the text sequence, again, I cut this sound off and implemented another sound effects pendulum tick to represent the text changing. And it's really synchronized to the beat of the clock ticking. Now, this is obvious, right? But this was the ground layer, and then I move forward to the actual sound design. And this is where I start with step 1. And step 1 is the primary sounds. What are primary sounds? Primary sounds are the sounds that are obviously in the scene or in the footage itself. So for example, here we got wind sound. Here we got like the snow sound. Here we got wind and city noise. Here we got the engine sound of the F1 car. Here we got another one, engine sound. Here we got underwater sound, obviously. Here we got, again, another engine sound. Here we got rain/water sounds. Then here we got the helicopter sound. Again, wind and drift sounds. And here it's actually, I think, wind. Yeah, wind, some kind of wind texture, I guess. And this is the first step that I go through and do at every edit that I do. And it's simply for layering the base layer of the whole audio experience. And it's actually one of the most important sound layers there are, because without these primary sounds, it would sound flat and it would sound not realistic. Let's watch this sequence with just the primary sounds to really see how they add impact to the video. Alright, when I laid down my primary sound effects, this is step 1, then I move to step 2. And step 2 is to implement secondary sounds. Now, most of the people and most editors I know, because I watch a lot of Instagram videos, they stop by editing primary sounds and think, okay, that's it. It sounds realistic, it sounds good, and it does sound good, but there's more to it, and there's more to it to make it even more immersive and more cinematic. Now, when I lay down the primary sounds, I look for details in every shot. For example, and this is a bad example because in shot 1 we don't have any secondary sounds, but this is also a point because you don't always have to incorporate secondary sounds. But let's go to this shot right here, which has a lot of secondary sounds. As you can tell, the primary sounds are this engine sound and this cinematic texture, I guess. And then the secondary sounds are added to, add more details to it. What do I mean by that? First of all, we got this imitation of the lever being pulled or this handbrake from the car. And this is imitated by these two sound effects right here, as you can see. Then we got some screws flying around, and this should imitate the interior of the car. Because again, when you are looking at this visual, you would, yes, obviously you would hear the engine sound. But what's more important, and you would actually have to analyze what you would hear also, and this is the interior itself, and the interior itself is not quiet, it is also loud. And this is why I included like the screw sound effects and the lever sound for the handbrake to really make it more realistic. Right, then we move forward to another example. For example, let's go to here. Here, obviously, we have the primary sounds with the engine, but then we also have like gravel sound effects and this mud flying around. And this is also like, little sound details, but they add so much dramatic and intense and impact to the visual that it makes it even more immersive and more cinematic and adds to the overall sound experience. So let's just listen to the secondary sounds again here. And again, you could leave that by that, but combined with the primary sounds, it just makes this scene a lot more cinematic. I think you get my point, and we don't have to listen through the whole edit itself here, because I think you get it. And they just add a little small detail to it. They don't change the whole experience, but they add a lot of detail to it, and they are super important for this cinematic sound design, immersive sound design that you're aiming for. Right. After I implemented the secondary sounds, then I move forward to my last layer, because a lot of people, and again, I watch a lot of Instagram videos, when they use primary sounds and they maybe add some secondary sounds, then they think, okay, that's it. With the clock ticking sounds and the primary sounds and the secondary sounds, that's it, that's all I need. But let's take it a step further. And I like to go a step further, and as you can see, I do add a lot of sound effects right here. And step 3 is actually to implement special sound effects. What are special sound effects? Special sound effects are like impact sounds, risers, whooshes, and they just add a lot of more layer to it, more texture to it, and more impact to it. And they also make transitions more seamless or add impact to those cuts. For example, because this edit itself is very contrasty. Contrasty in the meaning of we got like loud sequences, and then we got no sound at all. Loud sequences and no sound at all, or the clock ticking itself. But then here we got, again, primary and secondary sound and special sound effects layered to the sound, to the clock ticking sound. And here we just got the clock ticking sound. That was the aim of the video. Now, as you can see, impact sounds are added to the beginning of every like footage to really make this contrast between quiet phase and loud phase. And adds just a lot of tension to it. So for example, let's watch here after this fast text switches. We got riser sound. Here we got a riser sound. Then we got an impact sound, another impact sound, and a whoosh sound. And they just introduce and let the viewer know that there's something coming, right? You can hear right here. Before even the footage is there, there's a small riser sound and then an impact sounds to highlight the cut. Adds a lot of tension to it, a lot of engagement, and lets the viewer actually anticipate what's coming next. Alright, this was the complete edit. Again, these are 18 layers. We started with the ground layer right here, but then we actually started with the actual sound effect sound design, and this is the primary sounds. Then we add secondary sounds, and then we add special sound effects to, yeah, round it up. Now, sound design is not just about sound effects breakdowns, right? It's just the tip of the iceberg, because what is about the introduction to sound effects, softwares, planning sound effects, music and sound design, audio editing techniques, crafting soundscapes, how do I find even the sound effects that I use, and how to create cinematic sound designs. Well, it took me over 10 years to get to this point, and I wasted a lot of time watching YouTube videos and search through blogs and etc., and had to really find the key element that makes my videos cinematic. But it can actually take you 2 hours right now, because I got a solution for you. I got a master collection which includes the sound design quick start course in 2 hours in 2 hour cinematic soundscapes, and this goes over the introduction to sound effects, softwares and bonuses, planning sound effects, audio editing techniques, music and sound design, and crafting cinematic soundscapes. All of that in 2 hours. So not 10 years, but in 2 hours, and it's actually a cheat code if you want to create cinematic sound design that you just watch. Also, what's included in this collection are 9 sound effects packs. So risers, whooshes, hits, another riser pack, stutters, ambient sounds, whooshes, downers, and the pendulum pack, the clock ticking sound effects pack that you just heard in the video. What's also included is sound design breakdowns of 2 of my videos. So 2 of my other videos, exact videos that are similar to this one, where I break down the psychology of it, but I go even more into, but I even go more into depth in those videos. And then there's also the sound design quick notes with 12 quick notes with the most important information that you need if you maybe forgot something or want to refresh. All of that, 2 hours of tutorials, over 200 premium sound effects, and all sound effects packs included with a lifetime access. You can get it right now. The link is under this video.